All right.
Help if I click the right button to unmute myself. So thanks, Amanda. What we're going to talk today about is the STIC incentive grant pilot that we are putting forth to support enhanced crowdsourcing for operations here in New Jersey. And next slide. So just a brief recap, we have two mobility operations centers, the 24/7 STIMC up in Woodbridge, where we partnered with our Turnpike partners and the state police, as well as our mobility operations center in Cherry Hill. Together, they're responsible for checking conditions on over 7,500 lane miles. Next slide. Yeah, I'm in fact. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be partnering with WayCare. We've met them a number of times at various conferences, and what they're doing is they're actually deploying in a number of different cities. They've got great technology, a lot of artificial intelligence involved in this, so that TMCs are able to better understand the data that's coming from vehicles and other applications throughout these various cities, Nevada, North Carolina, Western Florida. So, they've got the brains in it. They've got a lot of computing technology behind it. And it's really going to give us a better look as far as how crowdsourcing data can help us manage our system. Next slide. So as I mentioned, WayCare, they're a cloud-based platform. And what it does is it takes a lot of our historical data and combines it with real-time data. And so we'll get, that automated incident identification, something that is out of the norm. It'll detect that. It'll also give us crash prediction and forecasting, recognizing where delays have historically happened, analyzing our crash reports historically and seeing where and when crashes may historically happen, and kind of give us an idea that, this is sort of the area where you usually get crashes. It'll be able to tell us where traffic is happening that's not usual, not the regular recurring delays, but the ones that pop up out of nowhere because something has happened. And it also gives us a little bit of tool to be able to talk back and forth to each other. One of the pieces of this is the ability to have a dashboard. Combining this with our existing Accelerated Innovation Deployment Grant for the weather savvy roads, we've got laptops in some of our SSP trucks. We'll be able to have that platform sort of integrate the laptop with this TMC platform. So it's something we're doing, almost having CAD in SSP. Next slide. So of course, the idea, we always want to have goals whenever we're getting federal money and our own money, of course. We want to improve incident detection. We want to make sure we're monitoring our roadways better, and we want to decrease response times. We want to get there faster. We also want to reduce our incident duration. So the less time that an incident is blocking lanes on our roadways, the better. You reduce the risk of secondary crashes. You reduce the queue. You're not backing traffic up as much. We also want to understand what the value of the data is that we're going to get from this crowdsourced information service, which is WayCare. Not only is it providing us with information from Waze, from other dash cam companies, from other data companies that are provided to fleet services, but it's got one of the connected vehicle aspects to it. And this is really where the new technology is coming into play. What we want to do is we also want to compare what they are getting in terms of their crash awareness to the state's crash records. So to see exactly where this type of real-time data is coming into play with the official records. Next slide. We want to determine the number of incidents that they get, WayCare versus the other sources. And we want to improve our communication internally and externally. We want to be able to get information and get it out quickly. We want to see how well we can use it. One of the things that we've always concerned ourselves about when we're working in the TMC is adding one more system, adding one more platform, adding one more thing to look at. We got 500 cameras. There's only so much people can look at it at a given time. And so consolidating that into an intelligent platform really is going to benefit the people that work there. We want to see a reduction in our response times, and we also want to see a reduction in the overall duration of the incidents. Again, minimizing secondary crashes, minimizing queues, and the inconvenience to motorists. Next slide. These are all the ingredients that go into the WayCare sauce, right? So the connected vehicle data, Volvo, WeJo is a massive amount of data that comes in. You're driving along. I've got a 2011 Chevy Equinox. It's old. it has a black and white camera in the back. I don't have a color camera. I only have a backup camera. WeJoe's got the kind of data where if your windshield wipers go on, the data transmits through the vehicle's computer system and out to various sources to let you know it's raining. Now imagine anytime we do that, if it can communicate with our various software platforms, perhaps to let you know via VMS that, it's raining ahead, be prepared to slow down. Those sort of safety messages that can really give people an understanding. We already partner with ICO, and that's who has our equipment on our SSD trucks as part of another STIC incentive grant that we were fortunate enough to receive. We already partnered with INRIX. We get their data to be able to post information on our travel time signs. One of the cool things I thought on this was Ticketmaster. Now, in a COVID environment, not a lot of people are going to venues or concerts or games and stuff like that, but they actually get data from Ticketmaster as far as the capacity of the building and how many people are attending as well as the start and the end time of the events to be able to see what queues might be building around facilities. So, let's talk about, MetLife Stadium or the Haskell over at Monmouth Park. To be able to get data like that and forecast when traffic is going to be heavier is certainly something that we're interested in. Next slide. The data that comes out, of course, a lot of the vehicle sensors, Internet of Things enabled devices, your Garmin devices that come aftermarket that you put in your car. The crowdsourced data, which is WayCare, dash cameras. A lot of companies are installing dash cameras for not only for liability, but also to be able to track their vehicles to see where they're going. Next slide. So the idea is there's aggregated data, like what we use now for INRIX and here. And it gives you travel times and everything like that, and delays and volume, and that's valuable. That's what we have. When you get anonymized vehicle data, you get so much more. You get harsh braking. You get loss of traction when your vehicle. Mine's a little red thing that looks like swirly lines whenever I'm driving in snow. To get that data to recognize how slippery the pavement is, we get that on stretches of interstates or stretches of arterials. We're able to better message and be able to coordinate our winter action, so we can get these roadways clear. The on-road hazard warnings, whether there's debris or anything like that. If a vehicle all of a sudden, is swerving, it means they're trying to get out of the way of something that's not supposed to be there. As well as some work zone intelligent information. A lot more companies and DOTs are putting intelligence into barrels and cones to geographically place that cone in a data set to tell you where there's construction. Something we looked at. Next slide. So why go with connected vehicle data? So there's so much more. The amount of data that comes out of connected vehicles is significantly more than what we would get via regular probe data. You get 1 in 50 vehicles, not a lot of data. The WayCare platform is going to get us about 1 out of every 10 vehicles in the state of New Jersey, data from those vehicles. And that's a significant increase in what we get. So imagine 1 out of every 10 on every state DOT roadway. That's a tremendous amount of information coming into the TMCs for them to make more informed decisions about operating their ITS, about dispatching their resources, and being able to keep our roadways moving. Next slide. So what do we do next? We've got to authorize the funding. We've got to be able to draw it into our account to be able to use it. And then we want to go towards the 3-step process. Make sure that the data that we have with the department, such as the crash records, as well as any of the other data sources we have, the video detection systems that come with our adaptive traffic signal systems, our probe data via INRIX and here, our information from our TMC data set. We've got to collect all that and be able to move it towards WayCare so they can understand and start building their artificial intelligence. Then we're going to, of course, train our people and kind of tinker with the system a little bit and see how it's going to work for us. And then we deploy it. So we're looking somewhere between 6 and 7 months. Next slide was the final slide.